Floss Tube. I'm Jessie. Welcome to my channel, Bobo Jessie Stitches, and happy Flossidays Day 8. Today is December 8th. We are on day 3 of our vacation. Is that right? Day 3? And so today we did a day in LA tour. That's what we did. And we did this as part of a so we did a vacation package with Universal, and so this was one of the things that got added on as one of the things that we were able to do, and it was a great tour. It was all day. They picked us up at our hotel at 7:30 in the morning. But we started out our day at Santa Monica Pier and went to Venice Beach, and from there we went to Rodeo Drive and the Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills. Then there was lunch at the original farmers market, which is next to the Grove. That tour was fantastic. We're pretty sure that our tour guide's name is Mark, but at this point in time of the day, apparently we forgot his name is. But he was really great, really fun, knowledgeable, gave us some history, movie facts, entertainment facts, so we learned some stuff. So he was a great tour guide. But one of the real highlights, right? Because everything else was pretty touristy, and you're just kind of seeing things. But I would say that we had two real highlights, which was going to the farmers market for lunch. It was overwhelming. For those of you who are not in LA or have never been to the farmers market, it's basically it's a farmers market. Like there's produce and things like that, but it's a bunch of stands of like different kinds of food. Like it's a open air food court, but it's like more than that. Like it's not like a mall food court. Like it's massive. And it was really honestly a little overwhelming. It was so many choices that we had a really hard time being like, we don't know what to eat. Because we were like, we would like to try that. We'd like to try that. And so, I would say that if there is a disappointment, it would be that we don't have more time to go back and try more food there. I got this tag thing hanging out there. Anyways, so that was, and that did include the Grove. We didn't go walk in the Grove. And then we finished up we had two more stops. We went to the Hollywood sign at the Griffith Observatory. And then lastly, we ended up going to the Hollywood Boulevard and the Walk of Fame. But along the trip, my personal highlight was that we drove down the Sunset Strip, which I, being a child of the 80s and a fan of glam hair, they don't like calling it hair metal, but that glam rock that was really, at its peak in the late 80s. So we're talking like Guns N' Roses is not quite there on the cusp kind of a thing, but like we're talking like Poison and LA Guns and Motley Crue. Like that was what I came of age listening to. And to know the stories and to know that was kind of the birthplace of that music scene was really cool. So to see the Rainbow and the Roxy and the Whiskey a Go-Go was like really, really pretty cool. So that was another personal highlight for me. But we also really liked the Griffin Observatory, and the only thing I have to show that purchases is that we did get like a pin. So I am not going to do a slideshow today, but what we're going to do is I'm going to do a story at the end that is related to this tour. So stay tuned to the end for the fun story that I'm going to share. But right now, let's go check out past Jessie. How is the countdown going? December 8th, Jessie? Let's see. Today was tour day. Tour day! How was the Sunset Strip? Birthplace of 80s hair bands. They don't like to be called hair bands sometimes. Glam metal, whatever. Motley Crue, Poison, Guns N' Roses. Then there was like the Cat House, Greg Rackman, and his weird Hope you had fun. All right, let's open up some things. Here's number 8. Barely could fit in the do. Here's 8 for Night Stalkers Calling. Oh, ooh. Ooh. Oh, it's not working either. Tape is my downfall. Tape is going to be my downfall. Oh my gosh. Y'all. 2. scissors. And there's like a little rulers on them. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, and they're like safety scissors, like you can take to kindergarten. Oh, awesome. I wonder if they're short enough to be able to take on planes. I love it. I love it. You can never have enough scissors because you can, like, especially if you do travel stitching, have scissors in the bags that travel with you. All right. Day 8 for Caterpillar cross stitch. Here's the back. And it says a December to remember. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Look at this. Rudolph. Isn't that awesome? I already talked about how much I like the Caterpillar needle minders. This is fantastic. Really, that's really cute. All right. Back to you now. Hope you were doing okay. Thanks, Past Jessie. Doing a great job. Don't know if anyone's told you that. All right, let's go ahead and do some countdowns that I have with me. So day 8, here we go. So let's go with our Inspirator countdown. This feels a little like Skeletor, doesn't it? But it's my Inspirator. Oh my goodness. All right. Let me pull this up because I do want to be sure that I get everything correct in my notes. So this is, oops, now I can't see what I'm doing. Needleberry Stitcher, and that's Catherine. She is great. Like, I actually really, I don't know how I came across Catherine, but I really enjoy her videos. She makes some pretty lengthy videos, and she has a bit of I was going to say self-deprecating, but I don't think that's really what it is. It's kind of a very deadpan. I think she's an engineer by trade. I'm not 100% sure, but I think she's an engineer by education anyways. And so she kind of has that like even keel kind of like methodical way of doing things. Big Mirabilia stitcher. And so if you are a fan of that type of stitching, go check her out because I think you will really enjoy her channel as it relates to that. She does a lot of other things. But the way that she inspires me is that she likes systems. I like systems too. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the nature of the work that I do, but I like seeing a plan that comes together, and I like making plans. So like I don't know if she's still doing it. I have to go back and check. But like at one point in time for WhipGo, I remembered that she had kind of created this whole whiteboard system, and she had made like little pictures of the patterns, and like she would kind of put it on the board of when things are called and things like that. And I loved it because I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of doing something like that? I was like, wait, no, I have Notion. I don't need to do that. But what's really funny is that it did kind of spark an idea in me. So after watching that, I did something very similar for me at work. Ordered like this whiteboard with magnetics, and I'm writing it down, so it's something to be able to track my cases. For those of you who don't know, I'm a legal aid attorney, so it was something like that. So I like that she has really good systems, and she does share that with you every so often. But really enjoy her videos. So go check her out. Again, she had a pretty meteoric like shoot up. I think probably because all the Mirabilias that she stitches, very popular. But yeah, check her out. Okay. All right. And now, time for the joke of the day. Oh, this one everyone's heard. It's a little disappointing to a certain degree, but just in case it's new to you, what kind of music do elves like to listen to? Rap music. Boop, boop. It's really, yeah, it is. All right. Well, for those of you who are not going to stay for my silly story at the end, thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Happy Flossidays, and wherever you are, I hope you're having a stitchy good time. For those of you who have stayed, I don't know if I've ever shared this story, but I am going to share my celebrity encounter that I may or may not have actually had. And the only reason why I remember this is because after it happened, I had come back and told my friends about it, and they reacted in such a way. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened to you. So it has really stuck out in my head, but probably if I hadn't mentioned it, to my friends and they had not reacted the way that they had reacted, I probably would have forgotten that this had happened. Honestly, it was just such a weird, funny encounter. So, things you need to know. One, I have been to Southern California before. When I used to work for 3 years, I traveled the country working at Renaissance fairs full time. And one of the fairs that I did was the one here in Southern California that was in San Bernardino. So that is fact number one that you need to know. Number two is that during that time, I also did a volunteerism for a nonprofit that provided medical assistance for for Renaissance Fair workers and other historical reenactments when they had a medical crisis. So that's fact number two. And then of course I worked at a Renaissance Fair, right? So keep that in mind. So those are important facts as we go into the story. So I was going one day to the Grove, which is the outdoor mall here in LA. One of the stops. This is where it's relevant. So this is one of the stops. And I don't know if I've shared this story, but hopefully you haven't heard this before. And there's a lot of outdoor, the reason why I was going is because I was on my way to a book signing. I was getting a gift for a friend of mine, an author that she liked. So I was going to go get an autographed book for her. So I was on my way there for that reasons. But the Grove has some outdoor sitting and things like that. So as I was walking to the bookstore in one of these patio kind of sitting areas, a gentleman reaches his hand out. And I just reached my hand out and shook his hand. And he was like, well, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm great. How are you doing? We proceeded to have maybe about a minute or two tops of idle chit chat. Well, it's nice to see you. You doing okay? You having a great day? Now, here's the thing. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the person may have had a glass of wine or two. Well, I'll just put it that way. And then I was like, well, okay, it was very nice to meet you. And then he was like, don't you know who I am? Like, it was really one of those, don't you know who I am? And I was like, I have no idea who you are. He says to me, and he has a friend, by the way, who's sitting there. And he says, I'm Bradley Cooper. And I was like, congratulations. I was like, I'm sorry. I don't know who you are. And he was like, what do you mean you don't know who I am? He goes, and I was like, I don't. And he's like, I was in The Hangover. Now, this is about 13 years ago, this event I'm telling you about, which would have been about a year after The Hangover came out. And I think it was already really popular, but it may have been, I don't know if he's done anything since then. And I was like, I'm sorry, no, I've never seen The Hangover. And he's like, how can you not seen it? Everybody's seen it. I was like, I don't really like cringy humor. Like, I don't like humor that kind of comes at like expense of people. And what I heard was that it was kind of a little bit of that kind of humor. And he was like, huh. And he goes, well, why did you stop? I go, well, you're the one who reached your hand out. And he's like, well, that's because I thought you recognized me. And I said, no, you reached your hand out. That's why I shook your hand. And he's like, well, why would I do that with me? And without missing a beat, I was like, because I do something where lots of people recognize me. And he was like, what? And he's like, I go, yeah, I get recognized a lot in the work that I do. And he's like, what do you do? I'm like, I work at Renaissance fairs. True story. Absolute true story. And he goes, oh, and you get recognized outside of the fair? I'm like, all the time. I was like, it's actually really kind of surprising how frequently I get recognized. And, and he was like, oh, well, okay, well, good luck with that. And I was like, yeah, and good luck with your career. And we shook hands and off I went. Do I think that Bradley Cooper really met me? Zero knowledge. I have no idea if it really was him. I don't know if it was someone pretending to be him. And if I was to ever meet Mr. Cooper and relay this story to him, I do not know if he would remember it or have any at all. But that's my story. That's my story about my celebrity encounter at the Grove related to my day tour. If you are interested in seeing any of the pictures from today, there's not a whole lot. It was mostly scenic pictures and a couple of pictures of me and my husband and various things. I'm going to have all that over on Instagram, which is at boba_Jessie C. check me out there. But otherwise, thanks for staying for my silly story. See you tomorrow.